Salutations and welcome to Shauna's Kitchen, where every day is a new day, and today we are going to make a red rose inspired yeast roll for Valentine's Day. So I'm going to tell you the 8 ingredients that you're going to need to gather up, and we're going to get started. You'll want 2 eggs, some granulated sugar, 3 tablespoons, 115 grams of warm milk, which is about a cup and 1 tablespoon, 7 grams of yeast, which is 2 teaspoons and 1/4 teaspoon, 30 milliliters of vegetable or canola oil, which is about 3 tablespoons, as well as some food coloring. You can use any of choice, whether it is an oil-based or a liquid-based or gel. It really doesn't matter. It's your preference, what you have on hand. Today, I'm using this up because I had some extra. You're also going to need 500 grams or about 4 cups of flour and half a teaspoon of Himalayan salt. Now, if I wasn't using Himalayan salt and I was using a regular finer white or salt, I would actually be only using about half of that. However, with Himalayan, because it's a little bit bigger, you want to use a little bit more to have the equal amount. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to get started, and I'll pull you back when we're ready to go. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So we have our 1 egg with the whisk, and we're going to go ahead and just put it into the bowl. Now, you wouldn't have to use 2 whisks here, but as you know, I like to have it already pre-whisked, if you've caught my videos before. Alright, we're going to go ahead and add in our sugar. Make sure we have it all. I'm just going to go ahead and whisk that together. Once you have that whisked together, you're going to take your warm milk and you're going to add a little bit at a time. We do not want to scramble our egg, so to speak. Alright, once we get that going, now we're going to add in our 7 grams of yeast. Whisk that all up. Now, if you've caught any of my other videos, you know I generally bloom my yeast mixtures, but not today, not with this kind of a dough. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put in that canola oil. You can use vegetable oil, like I said. Now, once you get this mixed together, this is where you're going to add in your food coloring of choice. Go ahead and make sure this gets well combined. I'm going to mix this up a little bit better, and I'll get right back to you when I add the food coloring. Okay, I mixed that for about another 30 seconds. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in that food coloring. Make sure it's whisked well. Notice I'm using the whisk in between each of the ingredients to make sure that I get them all incorporated before I move forward. Okay. I'm going to get that 500 grams of flour. I'm going to go ahead and incorporate part of it. Set that back down. I am going to be changing out from my whisk to my spatula here in a moment. But I like to get through my first setup first of whisking it together before I switch over. It's easier on the fibromyalgia, I've found. Incorporates it just a little bit better. Okay, now that I have that first set mixed completely, go ahead, get rid of the whisk, go ahead and set it where we had our milk. Grab this. And now I'm going to go ahead and mix this together, and I will get back to you when I have this added. Now notice as you can see, it's starting to come together. I have a little bit left in the bottom. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and clean off the spatula. Taken off my rings. I have my canola oil sitting here with my teaspoon, and we'll get to that shortly. But because I'm going to have flour on me, more than likely, I thought I better just have it ready to go. And we're just going to bring it all together. By hand, of course. I've found just kind of poking it and turning it helps. And then going around the edge, flipping it over seems to work. Squeeze it sometimes, make sure there's no dry pockets in the middle part. And then I start doing my quarter rolls. Now this isn't going to take very long, and I'm leaving it on so you can see about how long it's going to take me. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pause, and you can see now what my consistency is, which is what my main point was. I'm going to go ahead and finish that up, and I'll let you see when it's all combined in the bowl. Added. Now notice I have one set left. In between that and mixing this up, I'm actually then going to put in that half a teaspoon of the Himalayan pink Himalayan salt. Alright, at this point you can see I have that second setup pretty much mixed together. I'm going to go ahead and drop in the rest of my flour. And on top of that, I'm going to go ahead and add in that salt. Next thing I'm going to do is mix this all together, scraping the edge around first and putting a little bit of flour over where the mixture will be. The less work I have to do, the better. And this just makes it so it's not quite as sticky. Now this is going to be quite a thick dough. I'm going to go ahead and mix it up and then let you see what that looks like. Alright. So we're getting close to the color and the texture that we're looking for. It's about uniform. One more swirl around the bowl, excuse me. Pick it up, and then I'm going to set that aside. I'm just going to kind of squeeze it out a little bit. Checking the middle, make sure it's all combined. Now I'm going to push, and then pull back in. Push, push, and pull. Now I'm going to do this for about 1 minute. I can't handle a whole lot of the push and pull, but I want all of that coloring to be completely incorporated with my flour. I also want my dough to be smooth. Alright. Now, you can see here, when I need to, I just kind of pull back underneath nice and light, and I push it together with my hands underneath. Not hard, just so it's going together and it makes a ball. Now you can see when I poke it, it doesn't come back very much, but my hand is definitely not sticking to my dough. At that point, we're going to bring our bowl back over. Oh, and see how I have that little pushed out spot right there? I'm going to pull that underneath and squeeze and then close. Now, set that back down. Told you we needed our teaspoon. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves a teaspoon. Oil of choice. And we're going to put it right on the top. Rub it around. Roll it over. Make sure that oil gets all over. Now it's a nice shiny ball. We're going to put it in here. Put on a lid or a damp cloth, whatever you have available. Set it in a nice warm area. This is mine, and we're going to let it rise. Set for about 50 minutes to an hour. I'm actually going 50 minutes today because I have a few projects I'd like to do. All right, 50 minutes, I'll be back. It's been 50 minutes, so now I have cleaned off my countertop and it is dry. I have a bench spatula and pizza cutter, as well as a rolling pin. This one has measurements on it so I can know exactly what consistency I'm making. So we're going to put the dough on over here, take a look. Not sure if I mentioned before, but I normally have my oven on 170 while I'm making my dough, as I'm punching it down. Just thought I'd let you know. And then I turn it off after it has just started to show heat above, and I then set this dough on there with a towel over the top while I am doing something else for the 50 minutes. Alright, so now we punched it down. Gonna go ahead and take that and split it into two. I'm gonna set that one back over there. Roll this, oops, excuse me. Roll this out. If you have a bigger area in the middle, you can get in between that and work on that a little bit and push it out. If you get too skinny on the end, where let's say it's like this, you can push it back together to roll it. Basically, you're kind of wanting to have about the same length. And back edges. The same consistency is key, best you can. Alright. Now we're just going to go ahead and cut that. Next, I'm going to roll it underneath of itself. And then squeeze the very bottom, just like when we're making our buns or our dinner rolls. Anything like that. Ooh, we're getting a bubble. That's beautiful dough. I'm just going to go ahead and set that down. I'm going to grab the next one. Put a little air in there and push it underneath of itself. Oop, there's a nice bubble. I'm going to tuck that up underneath. Now, if you don't like to hold it in your hand, you can set it down. My hands are small, so putting it on the countertop works, but I often get big creases in the bottom. And the only way to overcome that is by squeezing it together, like that. And for me, I have found that I can do it in a round, about 1/4 inch or less turn, maybe 20% turn, so you're getting 5 per round, and then I just check it and set it. All right, we're going to get to the next one. I'm going to go ahead and get this next 2 rolled out, and then I will do the exact same with this half, and then I will be letting this rest for 10 minutes, and I'll get back to you. Here's our 9 spheres, and we're going to let it rest 10 minutes and be right back. While the dough is setting, I've cleaned up the counters and the utensils, put out my silicone sheet. I have the 1 tablespoon of milk and the egg, and I'm going to go ahead and whisk it with the original egg whisk that I had. And now I'm going to go ahead and put this back into the refrigerator while the dough is resting. Time for the next step. All right, so we're going to take one of our balls and we're going to flatten it out. I like to just go around and around. Ooh, see those beautiful little bubbles going? That's great. That means your dough has proofed nicely. Speaking of nicely, I've decided to pull out some of my personal homemade wild little blackberry, blueberry, which are from my garden, and currants. It's a jelly that I made this year for my husband, and I decided to surprise him. Some of these will have that and some will be plain. So the first one will be plain. So now that I have gone from the center out and it's mostly the same shape, I'm going to set it on the counter. I'm going to roll. I'm going to set this back so I don't hit those. That's just to hold my rolling pin when I'm... Okay, so this is definitely not going to work. These are way too high. So I'm going to go ahead and pause and change these out to a smaller size and be right back. All right, let's try that again. So I'm going to go one direction and the other, not exactly at the 1/4 mark. Otherwise, it tends to not be as round as I want. So once I've done that a couple of times, I'm going to just pick it up, turn it over, do it again. At this point, I can see I can just do this without any of the attached sizes. Okay, so it's not exactly circular. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut it into 4 pieces, like pie. Set these out of the way. Now that one I did not do so good on. So we'll try that again and I'll fix that one. So the important thing here is I should have started at the very, very bottom corner and gone up so that I am getting it right where I need it. Now I'm going to lay that out like that. Add this one to the top like that. This is going to be the middle, so I'm going to spread it out quite a bit like that. I have a couple of inches in there. I'm going to do the same, and I'm just going to kind of press it down. Take out another one. Now you can see my triangles are not perfect, and that's okay. I don't know any rows that's exactly perfect. Scoot that over a second. Alright, get the next one. I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to scoot it up here out of the way for a second. Actually, that is a really nice big one. I'm going to save that for the edge piece on this one. You'll see what I mean in just a minute here. All right, we're going to do that. Hang on to this one. Now these ones were not quite the way we wanted them. So I'm just going to set that one out like that. That one. That one looks alright. It's a little bit bigger, kind of like a pizza. And then we're going to add this one to the end. And we're going to press it down. Straighten this piece out a little bit. I'm going to do that one more time. Push up anything that's out of the edge. I kind of want it to be level. And then back down again, like I said. Now we're going to start down here. And just roll it nice and easy and slow on the edge. Trying to keep it even. Out of the way, yeah, okay. And then it's going to turn like that. Now I'm going to pull over my sheet, and I'm going to set it down. But I'm going to take the very edge, and I'm going to push it to the bottom underneath so it doesn't come apart. Now I'm going to let it come apart. I'm going to roll this one back. This one went all on its own. I'm going to pull this one forward. And I'm always starting on the outside edge and just rolling until it levels out a little bit. And I layer by layer. You don't want to start in the middle. You want to go from the outside in. And that's how you're going to get the actual rose look. And it separates your petals. Okay. All right, so I have the jelly, and we are going to use a little teaspoon, and I've smeared it on. Notice it's not thick. I'm trying to stay up on the petals and not off of the edge of it. I do not want to have it too thick, or it's not going to cook properly. So I'm just basically making a small glaze, and that's just going to kind of change the color and change the flavor real slightly, so that we have that little wild blackberry mixed with blueberry and currant. At first it's slightly tastes sweet, but then you get that after bite that's a little bit tart. And I think that's going to blend really nicely with this little Valentine rose, as well as add to the color for presentation. Alright, so now we don't want to have too much on the end. Set that on the clean side, set it aside. And we're going to go ahead and start our roll just like before, making sure there's a little bit of air space in there. Now the jelly is going to be a little bit slipperier. It's going to be a little bit harder to hang on to and hold together. So you're going to want to do these after you have done any of the plain ones that you plan to do, so that you are ready to go. And this one, sorry, I could not set down. I have to just set onto a tray or we will lose our shape. Now we're going to go ahead and move this stuff real quick. And let's see, where are you? All right, we're going to go ahead and push that together at the bottom. Take that very last piece and tuck it underneath and pinch. And now we're going to roll. Keep pushing in that bottom when you do this one. And when you're satisfied with that row, you move on to the next, just like before. Just remember that these are a little gooey, so you got to kind of hang on to it a little bit more than you did the other one, because you don't want your filling to fall out and you don't want it to collapse. All right. And that is the rows. Now if you wanted to, you can pull down a little bit more on this side and then fluff this little guy up like that. Roll that guy back under for texture appeal, and it's more rose-like. The more you touch it, the more it's going to pull back or get sticky and moisture is in there. So I'm barely touching here and there. And that is the biggest reason why I am not covering these and they look a little tacky when I get ready to push. So now that one is done, I'm going to set this down. I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands to get ready to roll the next. All right, here is the first set tray of 6. I ended up having 8 total. Next time I'll make a couple a little bit smaller, and these 2 are a little smaller. So I ended up doing 4 different variations. The oven is preheated to 355. I'm going to go ahead and put in the batch of 6 because they were the first ones I did. And we're going to set the timer for 30 minutes, actually 25, and then I'll check them. You can always add time, but you can't take it off. 25 minutes. And then these will go in when those come out. I'll bring you back when they're ready. All right, so I'd like to show you the final result. This is the chocolate chip one that I did. Here's with a little bit of the the powdered sugar on top. And here's what another one looks like. Those are the plain. And yes, they did have the egg wash. I wanted to let you know. I wanted to show you what this looks like. I'm just going to break it apart. Whoop, comes right apart. Look at that easy looking layer. Almost like a cinnamon roll, almost like a dinner roll. Isn't that pretty? Nope, I lost one of my chocolate chips. All right, let's give it a try. Nice and soft inside. Mmm. This one has the jelly in it. It's just a hint. It's not tart at all. It is so nice. Delicate flavor. The chocolate chip just adds a touch. Gives the semi-sweet chocolate chip. The bread itself is just like a cinnamon roll. I hope you give this a try. Share, like, subscribe with your friends. Pass it along. Give me a thumbs up. Tell me if you tried it. Tell me what you do different. Have a great day. See you next time.